Hello guys, what's up? My name is Dom, and today we are going to attempt Professor Oak's challenge in Pokemon Emerald. Now, here are a few rules for the challenge, in case you are unfamiliar with what a Professor Oak challenge is. Rule number 1. I have to catch and evolve everything I can before the first gym. I also cannot use any traded Pokemon, even ones offered by NPCs. And finally, I have to stream everything on Twitch, so you know I'm not cheating. Also, make sure to stick around to see a very special Pokemon I was able to get. Now while that's out of the way, let's start the challenge. We start off the game by an introduction by the Professor. Here he talks about Pokemon and humans living in harmony, all stuff we've heard from other previous games anyway. We start by selecting our name, and finally we are thrown into the world of Hoenn. This is where the challenge really begins. Like any other Gen 3 games, we start in the truck and are kicked out into our new house. Before I do anything, I make sure to set the clock between 3 AM and 8:59 AM. You'll see why later in the video. I then get caught red-handed trying to steal May's Pokeball. After that, I head to Route 101 where I help the struggling Professor. And without a second thought, I choose Torchic as my starter. Simply because he's the best starter out of these bunch. Heading back to the lab, we are officially given Torchic as our first Pokemon. Then the Professor tasks us with finding May. And a quick stroll to the north, we have our first rival battle. And as you might have guessed, that was pretty easy. We then head back to the lab, and we are rewarded with the Pokedex and a few Pokeballs. Now we can start catching. On Route 101, I'm able to catch a Wurmple, then a second Wurmple, you'll see why later on. I then catch a Poochyena, and a Zigzagoon. But not just one Zigzagoon, I caught about 5. And this is because they have the pick-up ability, and starting at level 21, they can earn us rare candies. Which, as you might have guessed, is going to be a lot of help when it comes to evolving. I then quickly head to Route 103, where I'm able to catch myself a Wingull. And then just west of Odell City, on Route 102, I'm able to catch a Lotad, a Ralts, and finally, at a 1% encounter rate, a Seedot. Now with those few Pokemon out of the way, we can head to Petalburg City. Here, we talk with our dad, and help our friend Wally catch his first Ralts. Heading up to Route 104, we are then also able to catch a Tailo and a female Marill. The reason I caught a female is so we can breed it with the Ciencense later on. This now means we can head straight into the Petalburg Woods. Here there are a couple Pokemon we need to catch, these being a Shroomish and a Slakoth. And as you might have seen, our Torchic evolved into Combusken. Now some of you may be asking why I don't just catch the Cascoon or Silicoons here, and well that's because I prefer to get the Pokemon at the earliest stages I can. Anyway, with that out of the way, we arrive at Rustboro City, where this catching section is nearly at an end. We head to Route 116 and are able to catch our final load of Pokemon. These being an Encarta, a Skitty, a Whismur, and finally an Abra. Now that officially means we have caught all the Pokemon before the first gym. That just means we need to evolve them all, and let me tell you, this took some work. I head to Rust Earth Tunnel, where my goal is to farm Whismurs. On average, these guys reward around 50 XP or so, which is not a lot, seeing as there's some Pokemon that we need to get to level 40. But nevertheless, I decided to crack on. Here's all I was able to evolve after a lot of hours. Wurmple into Silcoon at level 7, and then into Beautifly at level 10. I then also evolved the other Wurmple into Cascoon at level 7, and then into Dustox at level 10 again. Poochyena into Mightyena at level 18. I then evolved a couple of Zigzagoon into Linoons at level 20, and then got them up to level 21 for the rare candies. Wingull into Pelipper at level 25. Lotad to Lombre at level 14, Seedot into Nuzleaf at level 14, Tailo into Swellow at level 22, Marill into Azumarill at level 18, Shroomish to Breloom at level 23, Abra to Kadabra at level 16, Nincada to Ninjask and Shedinja at level 20 with a spare slot in my team, Ralts to Curlia at level 20, and then into Gardevoir at level 30. Slakoth to Vigoroth at level 18, and then into Sacking at level 36. Whismere to Loudred at level 20, and then into Exploud at level 40, with the help of some red candies obviously. And then finally I evolved Combusken into Blaziken at level 36. That brings the total up to 39 Pokemon. And with that means we have fully evolved everything in this section, so it's time to challenge the first gym leader, Roxanne. And as you might have guessed, we were able to sweep the gym with ease. We are then rewarded with the stone badge, and the ability to use Cut outside of battle. Now with this, we can progress the story a bit more. And straight after we leave the gym, we are tasked with hunting down the Team Aqua Grunt. He leads me to the Rust Earth Tunnel, where we defeat him and are able to save Mr. Briney's Wingull. After the confrontation, I have a meeting with Mr. Stone, in which he rewards me with the Pokénav and tasks me with delivering a letter to Stephen. Shortly after this, I make my way to Mr. Briney's shack, and he offers us a boat ride to Dewford Town. Immediately after arriving, I head to the fisherman and obtain the old rod. With my newly acquired rod, I do a little bit of fishing, and I'm able to catch a Magikarp, as well as a Tentacool. After this, I head inside the Granite Cave, where I'm able to catch a Zubat, a Makuhita, a Geodude, and then on the lower levels, I'm able to catch a Sableye, and an Aron. Then, after wandering around the cave for a bit, I find Stephen and give him the letter. Doing this unlocks the option to go to Slateport City, and after a quick boat ride, we make land in Slateport City. The first thing I do here is buy a harbour mail. This will come in handy later. I then go and talk to the boat engineer, which allows us to enter the previously blocked museum. On the second floor, we have a battle with Team Aqua, and are then able to deliver the Devon goods. I then make sure to grab the TM from the grunt downstairs. This is actually the guy we defeated earlier in Rust Earth Tunnel. After this, I take a quick trip back to Petalburg City, where I'm able to fish up a Goldeen. I then head back to Slateport City, where just north I can catch myself an Electrike, an Oddish, a Minun, a Gulpin, and a Plusle. I then carry on north where I have a battle with May, and upon defeating her, she rewards me with the item finder. Continuing under the cycling bridge, we finally make our way to Morville City, where the first thing I do is exchange my harbour mail for a coin case. This is so I can start gambling. I also head over to the bike shop to pick up my Mac bike so we can go a little faster. Heading west to Route 117, I can catch myself an Illumise and its male counterpart, a Volbeat, at a 1% encounter rate. I spent the rest of my time farming Illumise for the XP, and were able to evolve Tentacool into Tentacruel at level 30, Magikarp into Gyarados at level 20, Goldeen into Seaking at level 33, Zubat into Golbat at level 22, and then with Max Happiness into Crobat, Makuhita into Hariyama at level 24, Geodude into Graveler at level 25, Aron to Larion at level 32, and then into Aggron at level 42. Electrike to Manectric at level 26, Oddish to Gloom at level 21, Gulpin to Swalot at level 26, and with that, that's every Pokemon we can catch before the second gym. So I defeat Wally and crush his dreams of becoming a champion, and then enter the gym. I challenge Gym Leader Watson to a battle, and a few Psychics later, he rewards me with the Dynamo badge, and the ability to use Rock Smash outside of battle. I then quickly head over to this guy's house, where he gives us the HM for Rock Smash. I teach it to my Linoon, and head north, where I can smash this boulder that was previously blocking us. Shortly after, I arrive at Route 112, where there's one more Pokemon I can catch, that being a Numel. Carrying on this route, I arrive at the entrance to the Fiery Path, where I can catch another bunch of Pokemon, these being a Koffing, a Slugma, a Grimer, a Torkoal, and finally a Machop. That's all the Pokemon here for now, so I head outside and make my way up to the ash-covered route of 113. Here I'm able to catch a Spinder and a Skarmory. I keep heading west and arrive at Falabra Town. Now, there isn't much to do here, so I head south to Route 114, where I can catch a Seviper and a Swablu. And then before I forget, I go back to the Granite Cave and catch myself a Nosepass by smashing some rocks. I then climb some rocks and make my way into Meteor Falls. Here I spot some suspicious looking activity. I'm also able to collect the Moonstone to evolve Skitty into Delcatty, and I'm also able to catch myself a Soul Rock. With that suspicious event out the way, I make my way over to the cable car where I'm able to progress the story a little bit more. I make my way up Mount Chimney, and after taking care of a few grunts, I'm able to defeat Maxine and collect the meteorite. I head back down and buy some lava cookies off of this guy, and head to the Jagged Path, where I can catch one Pokemon, that being Spoink. I keep heading south and eventually end up in Lavaridge town, where if I talk to this old lady, she hands me an egg. While I'm here, I grab the Moonstone and use it on Skitty to evolve her into Delcatty. I then make my way back to Meteor Falls, where I'm able to steal a Sunstone off of one of the Soul Rocks. This allows me to evolve Gloom into Blossom. While farming on Route 114, I was able to hatch the egg, giving us a Wynut. I was also able to evolve Numel into Camerupt at level 33, Grimer into Muck at level 38, Coughing into Wheezing at level 35, Slugma to Macargo at level 38, Machop to Machoke at level 28, Swablu to Altaria at level 35, Spoink into Grumpig at level 32, Wynut into Wobbuffet at level 15. And with that, we've caught everything we can, so it's time to take on the Lavaridge gym. After battling a few trainers and falling through a few holes, I'm able to challenge the gym leader Flannery to a battle. Again, a few psychics did the trick. And with that, we are awarded with the Heat Badge, and the ability to use strength outside of battle. Immediately after exiting the gym, May jumps us and gives us the Go Goggles. This allows us to venture into the desert and collect some new Pokemon. But before we do that, I head back to the Fiery Path, where I can use strength on this boulder and pick myself up a Firestone. I then make my way up to Route 111 and enter the desert, where I'm able to catch a Trapinch, a Sandshrew, a Baltoy, and a Cacnea. I also stumble across the Mirage Tower, where I'm able to obtain the Claw Fossil. It then collapses, but don't worry, I can get the other fossil later. I return to the Devon Corporation, where I'm able to resurrect Anorith from the dead. After this, I grind some more levels and are able to evolve Sandshrew into Sandslash at level 22, Cacnea to Cacturn at level 32, Baltoy into Claydol at level 36, Trapinch into Vibrera at level 35, and then into Flygon at level 45. And then finally, Anorith to Almado at level 40. With that, we're officially halfway through the Pokédex. Now seeing as we can't challenge Gym 5 without attaining 4 gym badges, we need to head back to Juford to defeat the gym leader. After walking through the maze, I challenge Broly to a battle. And as you might have guessed, that was pretty easy. We are then rewarded with a Knuckle Badge, which means we can head straight to Petalburg Gym and challenge our dad. After clearing all 3 rooms with relative ease, I challenge my dad to a battle. I one-shot the Spinder with a Psychic, and the same goes for Vigoroth. The Slackoth then tanks a hit and somehow kills me, but Blaziken comes to save the day and then finishes off the final Linoon. And with that, we obtain the Balanced Badge and the ability to use Surf outside of battle. This opens up most of the map, and along with it, a lot more Pokemon we need to catch. We are then abducted by Wally's uncle, but all is forgiven as he gives us the HM for Surf. With my newly acquired Surf, I head west of Mr. Brownie's shack and arrive at a secret bit of land where I'm able to catch myself a Jigglypuff. I then head back to Morville City, where I'm tasked with turning off the generator. I surf under the cycling bridge and use the basement key to enter New Morville. Here I can catch a Magnemite and a Voltorb. I also pick up the much needed Thunderstone and then turn off the generator. Taking a quick surf east, I pick up my good rod from the Fishman and get to fishing. On Route 103, I catch a Welmer. On Route 102, I catch a Corpish. Route 111, I catch a Barboach. And finally, on 118, I catch a Carvana. Now that's out of the way, I head up to Route 119. Now, I could have caught a Kecleon on the previous route, but it's a 1% encounter rate and I can't be bothered, so we're going to get a forced encounter later. On Route 119, I'm able to grab myself a Tropius. And then further up the route, I head into the Weather Institute, where after taking care of a few grunts and saving the scientists, I am rewarded with a cast form. Straight after leaving and crossing the bridge, I'm challenged by our rival May again, but as you might guess, she was no match for my overleveled Pokemon. She then gives us the HM for Fly, which isn't going to be of much use seeing as the 4-tree gym is technically optional until we need to battle the Elite Four. I then take a quick surf down the river, where I can pick up a Leaf Stone, and upon entering 4-tree City, I grab my Nuzleaf and evolve her into Shrifty. Making my way across the bridges of 4-tree City, I meet up with Steven, who shows me how to use the Devon Scope. Fortunately, it's on a Kecleon, so we can add that to the Pokedex. Steven then gives us a scope, meaning we can take on 4-tree Gym later. He then flies away. Here, I'm also able to grab myself an Absol. Now there's not really much more to catch here, so I make my way down over to Lilycove City, where just outside, I can catch myself a Shuppet. I then make my way to Mount Pyre, where after scaling the mountain to the summit, I'm able to meet Team Aqua. We catch them red-handed, trying to steal the red orb, and then the lady gives us a magma emblem, which will help us later on. I then head to the grass patch, where I can catch myself a Duskull. Making my way down the mountain, I arrive in Lilycove City, where my first priority is defeating May with her newly evolved Ludicolo. She then flies away. But now that's done, I can finally buy some max repels so I can roam freely. Finally. After the short stop at Lilycove, I head back to the Safari Zone, where there are a bunch more Pokemon we can get. In the northeast area, I'm able to grab a Phanpy, an extra Gloom so we can evolve it later on, a Heracross, a Natu, and then its evolved version, a Xatu. In the northwest area, I'm also able to catch a Pinsir, a Rhyhorn, and a Doduo. I then head down to the water area where I'm able to obtain a Psyduck. Now all that's left in the centre area is a Pikachu and a Girafarig. I then make sure to use the Thunderstone on Pikachu to evolve him into Raichu. After this, I head back to Mount Pyre, where I grab the Sea Incense and catch myself a Vulpix and a Chimeco. Now, it's time to catch a Feebas. I first grab a Pokemon with Sticky Hook, meaning our chances of catching go up. Now, if you didn't know, Feebas only spawns on 6 tiles on this whole river, which means we have to fish the tiles about 2 to 3 times to make sure we encounter it. And just about halfway down the river, we are lucky enough to find one. I then also remember I need to breed Pikachu, so I went ahead and caught a female one. After a few laps on the bike, I'm able to hatch myself a Pichu, an Igglybuff, and an Azurill. And before I forget, I used the Firestone on the Vulpix to evolve it into Ninetales. This brings the Pokedex up to 133. Now, before we evolve everything, there are still some story events we can do. I head to the Jagged Path, where the Magma Emblem opens a secret door to the Magma Hideout. I then watch as Groudon flies away. Heading back to Slateport City, I watch Team Aqua run away too in their new submarine. Then a quick surf from Lilycove, I'm able to find the Aqua Hideout, where I can catch myself an Electrode and pick myself up the Master Ball. I then watch them flee away again in the submarine. Fortunately, this allows the Whalmers to move who are blocking the path, meaning we can surf to Moss Deep City. However, there's not much to do here, so I head to the waterfall at Evergrande City, where I'm able to fish up a Love Disc and a Corsola. I then carry on and arrive at Pacifidog Town, where just west, I can catch myself a Sharpedo and a Horsey. Now, there are just a few more Pokemon we can catch, so I head to Shoal Cave and catch myself a Spheal, and then I head down to the Icy Cave, which only happens at low tide. Remember how we set our clock at the beginning? Well, this is why. Here, we can catch a Snorunt. Then, for the last Pokemon, we head back to Lilycove City and catch a Staryu. Now, all that's left is to evolve them all. And after a lot of grinding, mainly from rebattling trainers, I was able to evolve Magnemite into Magneton at level 30, Whelmer into Wailord at level 40, Corpish into Crawdon at level 30, Barboach into Wishcash at level 30, Shuppet to Bennett at level 37, Duskull into Dusclops at level 37, Doduo to Dodrio at level 31, Psyduck to Golduck at level 33, Rhyhorn to Rhydon at level 42, Phanpy to Donphan at level 25, Spheal to Celio at level 32, and then into Walrein at level 44, Snorunt into Glalie at level 42, Horsey into Seadra at level 32, We then take a quick stop at the fashion hall where I grind up some berries using the blender, and once reaching max beauty stat on Feebas, I'm able to evolve it into Melodic. Once again, that's all the Pokemon we can catch and evolve, which means we can take on the Moss Deep Gym. Because I defeated all the trainers beforehand, we can challenge the twins straight away. Again, this wasn't much of a challenge, seeing as my Blaziken is level 70. I'm then rewarded with the Mind Badge and the ability to use Dive outside of battle. Upon leaving the gym, I follow Team Magma into the space station, where I team up with Steven to defeat them. He then rewards me with the HM for Dive. I go diving with my Whale Lord and are able to catch myself a Clamperl, a Chinchou, and a Relicanth. I also make sure to pick myself up 1 green and 2 blue shards, which means I can trade for another Leaf Stone and 2 Water Stones. This allows me to evolve Gloom into Vileplume, and Staryu to Starmie, and Lombre to Ludicolo. Also during this time, I leveled up Chinchou to Lantern at level 27. Now, it's time to take on the 3 Reggies. I start the quest by diving down and resurfacing in the sealed chamber, where if I bring a Whale Lord and a Relicanth, I'm able to dig right here and I'm able to open a secret door. If I then interact with one of these tablets, it starts the Reggie quest. I then head to the desert, where if I use Dig, I'm able to encounter a Regirock. Making my way north of Dewford, I find another cave, where if I run around the perimeter once, I can encounter a Regice. Then, at Route 120, I find another cave, where if I use Flash in the middle, I can catch myself a Registeel. I then take a quick dive to go find where Team Aqua is. I then watch as Kyogre flies away, and now they've started a war that could drown the entire world. Good for them. I head straight for Supolis, where we are gifted with a cool cutscene. Steven then takes us to where we can meet Wallace, who we tell the location of Rayquaza. We then travel to the Sky Pillar, where we meet up with Wally and go up the tower to wake up Rayquaza. Again, we have another cool cutscene, which I'll let you enjoy. And there you have it, Rayquaza saved the day, and for the most part, that's most of the main story out the way, so now it's time for the moment you've all been waiting for. The shiny Rayquaza. Now this has to be one of the best shinies, and I'm really glad we took the time to shiny hunt it. And with that, we head to the Supolis gym, where we wipe out the gym leader with Rayquaza, and are able to obtain the Rain Badge, as well as the ability to use Waterfall outside of battle. I teach it to the Whale Lord and head back to Meteor Falls, where I can surf up here, and in the back section of the cave, I'm able to catch myself a Bagon. I then head back to Evergrande City, where inside of Victory Road, I can catch myself a Mawile. I do a little bit of XP grinding, and are able to evolve my Bagon into Sheldon, and then into Salamence. And with that, we are ready to take on the Elite Four. But first we got to take out the Fortune Gym, and without much challenge, we obtain the Feather Badge, and finally, the ability to use Fly outside of battle. I then head up to Elite Four, and again, it wasn't much of a challenge. We then challenged the champion Wallace, and again, that was pretty easy. Here's my final team for the Elite Four. The reason I had 3 Liloons was because I felt like they deserved a place. We then managed to complete the game in 140 hours. Then the credits roll and we finish the game. But hold on, we're not done yet. We load back in and pick up the SS ticket, as well as selecting blue on the TV. We head back to the lab and upgrade our Pokedex, and then fly to Steven's house where we can pick up a Beldum. I then head to the Weather Institute where we can see the location for Groudon, and then for Kyogre. After this, I head to the Fossil Maniac's house, where he has dug a big tunnel, And all the way at the end, I can grab myself the lost root fossil, which I then revive with the scientist to give us a leap. Then finally, after running around, I find myself wandering into a Latios. And with that, we've officially caught all the home Pokemon we can, and now we just need to evolve Leleep into Crawdilly at level 40, Beldum into Metang at level 20, and then finally into Metagross at level 45. And with that, that means we have caught and evolved all the home Pokemon we can, which means we have officially completed the Professor Oak's challenge in Pokemon Emerald. This challenge took me about 140 hours, mainly because I didn't really know what I was doing, but I had some great resources which I'll link below. And with that, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.